talk about a man that is on a mission that's changing lives. Everybody, please help me welcome Dr. Gregory Williams.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thanks for the kind words. I don't know if I'm worthy of that or not, but it's great to be with you, and happy anniversary. My whole point in existence and the rest of my existence, I'm hoping to be able to impact one more person. Now, the last session that we had a month or so ago was really raw, really real. Uh, Man, it just gets up into your face and lays you out. This one's going to be more applicable, I believe, to instead of me telling my story, try to landing the plane in your own front yard. And as you experience the first year anniversary of what y'all are trying to do and are accomplishing doing, and even as I go around the country training police officers, now it seems like I'm on a roll of doing that. I'm training the 5,200 um, Houston police officers, trying to do them 500 at a time uh, throughout the next several months. We're coming across an issue that when you deal with difficult work, and in that type of work that everybody's doing, for instance, the officer here that's online and talking about trying to find missing people. And then, then you deal with that year after year after year. And sometimes you have success, sometimes you don't. And then sometimes whatever you're dealing with in life starts to weigh you down. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And okay, we're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to talk about something that is a catchword that sometimes, and I'm not going to take, okay, we're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to talk about something that is a catchword that sometimes, and I'm not going to take a full hour on this, I don't believe, but I really want you to apply this information right to your heart and to your life, because this is stuff that sneaks up on you. And as we deal with ACEs, like we talked about before, and trauma informed, as we talked about before and in the past, this vicarious trauma is something that can sneak up and end up dismantling and exhausting joy, purpose, attitude, positivity in a person's life. And I really believe that as we go through this, and I'll turbo speed this because I know you may have other things to do and everybody's busy, but there's a lot of information on these slides. So I want to recognize that the picture that I always use, this storm, living in Houston area, we're used to hurricanes, and living close to Galveston, this is sometimes what it looks like. How do you navigate through all these storms of life that we deal with each and every day? Emotionally, physically, relationally, financially, spiritually, and I can keep on doing the entire Lee family if you want. But how do we get around and deal with all the stuff that's happening? And to be honest with you, I'm so glad that we're only 2 weeks away from the election, because I am sick and tired of all the negativity, all the stress, all the anxiety, just from Harris Trump, just from that presidential campaign. And I hope it's decisive whichever way it goes, and there's no fight and lawsuits, and that it doesn't have to get down to where we're counting ballots by hand and it's 2 or 3 weeks before we find out. Whoever wins, I just hope it's decisive, and then we can move forward. But it wears and tears on us, and the way that we interact with other people. It's just a heavy weight, a darkness, a negativity that just overwhelms us sometimes. And in this, how do you navigate your own trauma during turbulent times? And you all know my story. you all know that I have been abused, and I've been dealing with my own physical issues in my life, and that I do have Lou Gehrig's disease. Um, when I'm done with this talk, I'll be leaving to go have a talk tonight, and then I'll be on the road for 6 hours and probably get to South Padre Island around 2 o'clock in the morning. And then Thursday and Friday, I'll be speaking to over 10,000 physicians doing the keynote talk. And I do that not because I want somebody to applaud or pat me on the back, but I recognize that my days are numbered. Um, and I want to make sure I have another time to be in front of people like you to be able to impact. And if we can impact people and leave an imprint or a footprint or a hug in somebody's life and help throw light into their world, that's what I believe the rest of my days are left for. But how do you navigate your own times? There's two ways to do this. And for the old Gilligan's Island days, the old TV show, there's the day that you can just be smiling and go, hey, everything's fine. Or you can be on the right-hand side of this page and recognize that you're in the middle of that storm. And either way that you approach it today, no matter what happens and how you approach it, this could be the result. It's going to strand you, cast away you on a deserted island, and there's going to be times in your life that you feel alone, isolated. Now, if you want to lean into the camera with me a little bit, we can huddle up here. Let me just let you know a little secret. The enemy wants you to feel that you're absolutely alone, that there's no one else that cares, there's no one else to be there, there's no one else to support you. Because if that enemy can get you on an island, feeling like you're isolated and alone, he can start whispering in your ear all kinds of different lies. And when we are alone and there's no positivity, no support, no love, no hugs, no any type of hip hip hurrah around us, and a foundational ability to be able to support each other, then he can start convincing us that we're of no value, that we have no purpose, our destiny is done, and everything about us just starts falling apart. But let me tell you, this is what's happening to our world with our kids right now. We're losing a generation of children and youth and even adults that are in mental health issues, that don't feel worthy enough of time, of caring, of support. And how sad is that? Because all of us are of value. And in this world, we need to make sure that we look at ourselves. How do you handle this? So let's make this personal. Don't talk about the person on the other side of the room, or talk about, oh, I wish my husband was here to listen to this, or my kids were here to listen to this. Let's make this very, very personal. What about you and how you're dealing with vicarious trauma? First of all, what is vicarious trauma? Now, just so I can thrill you with my brilliance here, here's the official language of that. Okay, so let's read this, but it's going to make you sick before you get to the end because it's so long. But here we go. Clinical psychologist Dr. McCann and Dr. Perlman developed the vicarious trauma response to explain the emotional, physiological, and spiritual effects of listening and caring for traumatized people over and over, day in, day out. When experiencing vicarious trauma, an individual will find themselves in a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode of being able to adapt and maybe separated from what is happening in the present moment. So basically, let's just break this down in pictures. A year ago, 10 years ago, whenever you took your job, you posted on LinkedIn or Facebook, or you announced it on email, I finally landed my dream job. Zippity doodah, I finally made it. Hip, hip, hurrah, for the world to know I am so happy. And this is the way you went into the office on that first day. I am here to be able to tackle the world. Now, all of a sudden, years and years later, and here the police officer was talking about hoping to retire. Don't know how many years you put in, but that first day was I finally landed my dream job. Now, morning comes, and possibly you lay in bed and you go, oh no, I got to go to work. What shifted? And in a picture form, this is what you used to look like, but this is what you feel like now. Here I am, dragging myself and my baggage into the office here, day in, day out, and you've kind of checked out emotionally, and you're just a warm body going through the motions. Clock in, clock out, go home. Clock in, clock out, go home. The care, the love, the passion, the drive, has it eliminated from you in your life? That's what we're going to talk about. Now, vicarious trauma, this is the definition that I like, is the emotional residue of exposure to traumatic stories and experiences of others through work. So if you're a caseworker, if you are a police officer, if you are an advocate, if you are a counselor, if you are whatever it is that your role is at, even if you're in the religious work and you're a pastor or interacting with people, and you start hearing these stories over and over and over, there's a residue that starts building up on our inner personality. So, for instance, let's pretend. Have you ever got into your car, put the key in, turn the key, and all of a sudden it was nothing. Nothing's there. So you do what I do. You go and open up the hood of the car, and you take a hammer and you start knocking on everything to see, well, hey, what's broken? And then you get to the battery and you notice on one of the battery cables that has all of this acid that has formed around that cable. And that residue has caused the power not to be released from the battery to the ignition. And because of that, you're powerless. That's what vicarious trauma does to us. And I'm going to go through these really quick. But in that, it starts to eliminate and evaporating our once power in our step and our drive and our excitement and our energy. And now we're just there. We're just doing the same old thing. And note, vicarious trauma is not the same as burnout. Compassion fatigue is beyond empathy. It's known as secondary trauma stress, STS, and it's a condition characterized by a gradual lessening of compassion over time. Note, can happen quite quickly as opposed to vicarious trauma. Vicarious trauma is a residue that starts building up over time. Compassion fatigue can actually happen more quickly. Okay. and let's just keep going here. Burnout is a long-term stress reaction and process that occurs among professionals who work with people in some capacity. It could be brought on by workplace conflict or drama, overload of responsibilities. Sorry about the typo here. Perception of inequality, inadequate rewards, or consistent exposure to traumatized material. It can actually uh, be brought on by you know how we award and reward our people that work the hardest in our department. You know how we do it here at Baylor College of Medicine? Hey, congratulations, you're the best worker we have. How do we award them and reward them? We give them more work. We know it get done. That's not the way to deal with this. It seems like, well, why would I sling sweat and work hard if all I'm going to do is get more work? Why isn't so-and-so doing more work at the table and desk across the way? And that's can be called burnout. Controlled empathy. So what I'm going to try to do is constant monitoring of emotions. So I'm not going to react to stories. I'm going to listen to the story that I have to listen to, but I'm not going to show any emotion. Okay. Then it starts building up symptoms. So there's a lot of slides here. I'm just going to go through this. Ask yourself if this is you. Symptoms of workplace vicarious trauma. Your behavior, frequent job changes. You used to be on time every day, and now you come in 15, 20 minutes late and just keep getting later and later. There's an irritability inside of you. There's an irresponsibility in you. You feel overworked. You're exhausted. You're talking to yourself. You're dropping out of those community engagements. You're rejecting being close to anybody. And then in the interpersonal issues that you have, there's staff conflict. You're starting to blame other people. There's poor relationships. There's poor communication. There's impatience. There's avoidance of working with clients with trauma history. There's a lack of collaboration. I don't want to collaborate anymore. I just want to sit here at my desk and do my job. There's a withdrawal and isolation from your colleagues. There's a change in the relationship that you have with your colleagues. And then in your personal values and beliefs, you're just dissatisfied. Everything's negative. You have a loss of interest. You have an apathy. You blame others. Lack of appreciation, lack of interest in even caring. And you start detaching yourself. And there's a hopelessness that starts to seep in. And then in the job performance, this is still workplace. Low motivation. You notice your errors and your mistakes are starting to multiply. There's a decrease in the quality of work. There's an avoidance of job responsibilities. There's an over-involvement in details, and you want to be so perfect that you end up making more mistakes. And there's a lack of flexibility. Now, shift this from workplace to personal. You're starting to notice changes in the sleep pattern, starting to have nightmares, starting to have change in your appetite. Hypervigilance enters in. You start losing things. You ever done this? You walk around the house looking for your cell phone and you have it in your hand. You start losing your car keys, and you always used to put your car keys in the same spot, but you're starting to lose things more regularly than you ever have before. Clumsiness, self-harm behaviors, negative coping, smoking more than often, drinking more than you ever used to, acting out when you never used to, physical, sweating, rapid heart rate. I was talking to an attorney the other day here in Houston, a friend of mine, that deals with and does legal court cases for those that are involved in human trafficking. And as I was talking to them on the phone, she said, Greg, my heart feels like it's going to jump out of its chest. And I said, wait, what's going on, Rachel? And we talked. And she said, for some reason, I just feel agitated and anxious. And I started going through this with her. I said, is your workload getting pretty heavy? Are you hearing these stories over and over? And I started going through this list that I present all the time. If you see this kind of heart rate or blood pressure, or you're starting to get dizzy and you're going, wow, I can't even walk across the room without feeling like I'm going to fall. Breathing, you can't get a full breath of oxygen. Aches and pains, different than just normal aches and pains. There's a weakened immune system. You never miss a day of work for sick. And now all of a sudden, you're sick 2 or 3 times a month. And you're starting to see this. Cognitive now in your personal symptoms here. Lower self-esteem. You're starting to doubt that you were ever meant for this job. You can't concentrate anymore. You're confused, you're disoriented. Perfectionism, racing thoughts, loss of interest in things that you used to love to do, lack of meaning in life, thought of harming yourself and other people. And emotionally, you feel helpless, powerless. You have a survivor guilt. There's a numbness that comes into you, an oversensitivity, an emotional unpredictability, fear, anxiety, sadness, depression. I don't want to lose you, but these keeps going. Withdrawal and isolation. You start pulling away from people. Loneliness, intolerance, and irritability. You distrust people. You start projecting blame and rage on other people. Decreased interest in intimacy. All of a sudden, your parenting style has become so overprotective that it's outside of the norm. Now, there's 8 stages here of burnout. And I just wanted to throw this up here so you could take a picture of this slide. If you're finding yourself in this number 1 at the 1 o'clock hour here, excessive drive, ignoring self-care, denial of problems, withdrawal, behavioral changes, depersonalization, apathy, depression. If those are any of the stages that you're dealing with right now, do not ignore them. And this is the individual intervention that we need to take place right now as we're looking at you and how you are handling this. I've been there, done this. I've experienced this. And I've noticed when I've done this with police officers, oh my gosh, Greg, this is me. This is me. You're reading my life, my mentality right now on the individual level. This is how to take care of yourself. Monitor yourself. Eat well. Rest. Exercise. Self-care. Seek balance. Engage in outside activities. Set professional and personal boundaries. And take advantage of professional development opportunities like these little monthly meetings here. This is so important for people to be able to reach out and be with other people to interact. On an organizational level, reduce system causes of vicarious trauma and exposure in challenging cases. Say, wait, I need to reduce that file load. I can't handle anymore. Provide critical incidents of debriefing. There should be debriefing in every one of the cases that you're involved in. Provide sabbaticals, professional education, community service, public speaking, provide professional counseling and help. Now let's drill this down even a little deeper, okay? Hang with me here. Beware now. Are you, ask your questions straight to you, lacking a balanced sense of your role so that you take on too much? Step in and try to control everything? Have difficulty leaving work at work? And you take the work too personally? Are you coping with stress by shutting down and disconnecting? Are you unable to remain emotionally connected to the work? Are you attaching to distraction to check out from work, personal life, or both? Are you experiencing physical, emotional, spiritual fatigue of inexplicable aches and pains that exceed what you normally would from an ordinary busy day or work week? Are you starting to use cynicism or anger to cope with other intense feelings that we may not understand or know how to manage? Are you becoming increasingly unsure of yourself professionally, second guessing yourself, feeling insecure about tasks that you once felt confident to be able to perform? Are you starting to ask yourself, I don't know why I ever took this job? What makes me think that I was built for this? And you start questioning what just a year or a month or two ago, you knew you were there to be able to accomplish that task. Here's what I want to encourage you to do in the few minutes that we have left. And I'm going to land the plane probably earlier than what's expected. But self-care, physically, you got to eat regularly. You have to eat healthy. You have to exercise. You have to take time out when you're sick. You're not Superman. You got to get plenty of sleep and rest. You have to take vacations. And I'm talking to myself here. We have a little thing on our phone here, Baylor College of Medicine, that when you actually take a vacation day or you log in, it will say, and the other day, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Greg, it looks like it's been 208 days since you took a vacation day. Thinking, wow, 208 days? We need to do better than that. Take a break from technology. Are you always on that crazy cell phone? That causes stress. Psychological self-care. Are you taking time to self-reflect? Read something that is absolutely unrelated to work. Do something that you're a beginner at. Engage in something that you haven't done in a different area, an art museum, a sports event, an exhibit, or a culture event. Practice receiving, and this is hard for me, receiving from other people. Or just go take a walk outdoors. That self-care will benefit you. Then emotionally, spend time with people that you enjoy company with. Stay in contact with the important people of your life. Treat yourself kindly. Feel proud of yourself. Find things that make you laugh. What is it that just makes you laugh? Rewatch one of your favorite movies. Allow yourself time to cry. I love working in a building where I can go down to the third floor and go get a snack or a soda. And I see children everywhere because it's Texas Children's Hospital. And when I see a baby, just to lean over and look and listen to them goo and gog and laugh. And even when they cry, it just brings a smile to my face. Just play with a child. Workplace self-care. Are you starting to find yourself, you're always eating at your desk? Take time to eat lunch away from your desk. Chat with your coworkers. Make time to complete tasks. Identify projects or tasks that are rewarding for you and gravitate toward those if you can. Pursue regular learning and professional development. Get support from your colleagues. Negotiate your needs. It's okay every now and then to go, hey, wait, I need a break. I need help with this task. Can somebody help me with this stack of files? And have a peer support group. And a personal favorite of mine, journaling. You got to bleed on the page. You got to let these emotions out somewhere. And I do that in journaling. I'll be journaling about you all tonight. When I get to the hotel at South Padre Island, I'll be writing down everything that I did and thinking about and thought about and interacted with. And it was great to see people that I love and care about, and journal. Put that stuff out, because if you keep holding that in, it's going to end up affecting you emotionally, and it'll start affecting you and causing that residue to build up. I already done that one. Next one up. We're getting ready to land the plane here. The wheels are coming down. Self-care is not selfish. Before I get to this one last thing, I was on a plane the other day, and I don't know if I shared with you at the last session or not. I can't remember if I did or not. And the first thing I do when I get on Southwest plane is I'll buckle up and I'm sitting there waiting for my snacks. Where's the pretzels at? Where's the little snacks? And they always have to go through this rigmarole where the cabin crew comes out and they start showing you how to use your seatbelt, showing you how to use this life preserver, and you can blow in this tube and it'll blow up. Showing you with the two fingers like this. I don't know if they learned this at stewardship or steward school or not, but they'll show you where the exits are, two back here and two here, two here, and where the lights are in the aisle. And then they get to something that of course I was looking around, I'm noticing nobody's paying attention to them. They're all on their phone trying to get their last text out, but they're giving us things that's going to save our life if this plane starts going down in water. And then they tell us about the flotation device that is your seat that you're sitting on. And then something that rocked my world the other day, that in the event of an atmospheric change in pressure, 4 oxygen masks will come out of the ceiling. And they actually put these on. You know how this works. Little yellow cup, little bag, and then they show you how it tightens. And then they say something here that I really want to hammer that I never heard before, but I wrote down for the first time in my life because I thought it was a life lesson that maybe we need to understand and hear. When these oxygen masks come down, you remember what they're going to say? If you are with a child, listen to this. Parents, put your oxygen mask on first, and then take care of your child. I'm sitting there thinking, going, are you kidding me? I'm going to take care of my child first, right? Who wouldn't? But research has come to find out, and that's why they announced this. And they say it, whether anybody listens to it or not, I don't know. You cannot help anyone else until you take care of yourself first. Ding, 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 ding. That's a huge alarm system going off right there. Everybody that's listening to my voice right now, You are absolutely no good to anyone else until you take care of you. You may think you're trying to save the world, but you can't until you take care of yourself. You got to do that. I just thought I'd throw that out. That didn't cost you anything extra today, but I think that's something you need to know. Self-care is not selfish. You are important. But one last thing. This could very well be the most important day of your life when the day begins. You never know what's going to happen. Are you ready? If you're at the point where vicarious trauma is starting to numb you at work, you're going in, you're clocking out, you're listening to people, and you don't have to raise your hand here. I can't see you anyway right now. I'm sharing my screen, but keep it to yourself. Are you at the point when you start hearing people's problems, you're going, will you just tell the story and get it over with? You're listening, but you're not hearing. You're hearing, but not listening. It's going in one ear and out the other. And you're just starting to numb completely out at work. Don't miss this lesson as I close. Never forget that if you're numbing at work, it will cause you to numb with your spouse, with your significant other, and with your children. It's a scientific fact. You cannot numb only one area of your life. That residue on that battery terminal of your emotional battery that's starting to build up and corrode, and it's starting to cause lack of power and caring. It will also numb your relationships at home. So please, please get help. Get help now, because you are a masterpiece. You deserve to be at your very best. When Melanie goes to California to speak at this church, they deserve her to be at her very best. Your family deserves you to be at your very best. Your clients deserve you to be at your very best. You have a calling, you have a purpose, you have a destiny that only you can do for the people that you work with. Don't allow this vicarious trauma to come in and start taking away the power that you once had, the purpose that you once had, the calling that you once had. You are worth more than that. And so are your children, your family, your clients. If there's anything that I can ever do to help you, I am here. That is my contact information. If you need somebody to talk to, somebody to share with, somebody to vent to that you know won't tell your boss or your coworkers, text me and say, hey, Greg, you got a few minutes? I need to talk. And I think what I'm going to do now is stop sharing my screen and go back to everybody in Mexico there, wherever you're at, in Gallup. And I am here if you have a question or a thought. If not, I'm going to kick it back to you. But thank you so much. It is so important, folks, to take care of yourself. The work that you're doing is so valuable, but it's taxing. It gets heavy. It gets ugly. It starts interfering with life. Don't let it take over. Take care of yourself first and control your own destiny. Okay, I'll let you go.